Defending D1 state champ De Pere starting its title defense against PRE BLE Preble. But the Redbirds say the price is right. Price Gregory, it's a 7-point early lead. Then Zach Kinziger in transition. The lead grows to 9. The other way, Jack Thorpe trying to keep the Hornets in it, doing some yeoman's work in the paint. But check out the no-look pass coming your way from Rowan Domofsky. Woo! Will Hornseth will score. De Pere flies by 85-39. Xavion Mitchell leading Oshkosh North against Menominee Falls in D1. Spartans leading in the first half. Carter Strange. Oh, nothing strange about that. Perfect form, lacing the triple. Cherry picking ahead for Mitchell. He's just too big to handle down low. The lead is already double digits. How about Stevie Clark getting in on the act? Same spot as Strange. I guess those Spartans like it. They go on to win by 11. They'll play Germantown in tomorrow's regional final. In Division 2, 1 seed Ashwaubenon against Marinette. Drew Tomaszek, right side 3, you betcha, up 27 late in the first half. But the Marines sticking with it. Jordan Race from the right side snipes. But the Jags using the extra pass, and Elijah Fenner drives it, finishes. Fast forward, final seconds of the first half. Everything going Ashwaubenon's way, and yes, a first half buzzer beater rattles home, 85-32 the final. We have plenty more sports to share. The pride of Fond du Lac, Braylon Allen, at the NFL Scouting Combine, about to realize his dreams, and Notre Dame hockey, hoping to skate towards another state title.